Hi, I'm Tony from the Square Genius, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the new layout editor on Squarespace, which is called Fluid Engine. I'm really excited about this new editor. I'm hoping it's got some cool features, so let's check it out.
Okay, let's dive in. So I've just built a basic layout. None of this layout is using Fluid Engine at the moment, so I've just added some text blocks, some simple sections, and some image blocks. So first of all, we need to add Fluid Engine to the site. Squarespace is actually rolling this out on all 7.1 sites, but if you're a Circle member, you can simply go to Settings, Circle Labs, and then there you'll see the toggle to put Fluid Engine on or off. So I've already got it on. Right, so now that we've turned Fluid Engine on, we're just going to go to Edit, and we're going to hover over the section here, and you'll see this new icon that says Convert. So this means that this particular section can be converted to the new Fluid Engine. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Convert. And now you'll see it's slightly different when you hover over the block elements. This is still a standard classic editor, so you can see the little differences there with the outline of the blocks. So this means that we are using Fluid Engine. You've also got an add block icon here on the top left. And very simply, what happens is you can actually hover over a block, and when you start to drag it, you'll see this grid appear here. And with that, you can actually pull images to any position you like. You can actually overlap images, which I think is awesome. You can even do that with buttons, so if you want to overlap a button. When you do want to overlap something, if you just hit this icon here, it will automatically move in front of or behind. So you'll see that there. This is actually a transparent button, so but yeah, so that's the basics of the actual movement on the grid, which I think is really, really welcomed. I think it's something that Squarespace has been needing for a while now. The other thing you can do is when you click this little blue icon here, this actually changes the length of the grid, so you can actually pull it down or up. If you click on Edit Section, you now have row count, which again can do the same as that little toggle button. You've got the gap in between the grid, so you can now close the gap and make it much tighter. You can also set it as per you like there, the spaces up and down, which is really helpful. And this is going to eliminate having to need to use so many spacer blocks, which is great because so many times I've added millions of spacer blocks, and this just helps in not really needing to do that. You can control the space much more better. So you won't need to use spacer blocks as much with the new Fluid Engine because we've got a lot more control over the spacing in this area here. You've got the viewpoint, so that just changes your view to tighten the actual sections. If you toggle that back on, that will bring your viewpoint back to the middle. And then you've got your alignment just here at the bottom, and again your height. So it's very versatile, which is great. Another thing you can do with Fluid Engine is you can actually now pull images across so that they are full width, which is a really nice feature. So we can now have a full width flush image to the edge of the page, which is really cool. This particular image, if I actually just change the shape, I'll be able to show you. Will fill. So this is another new option. We can actually either fit the container and fit the size of the original image, or we can choose to fill the image, which is really, really helpful. And if I just pull that across, you can see there that it's fully flush to the edge, which is great. Another really cool feature of Fluid Engine is that you can now resize images just by pulling on the side toggles of the image, and you can resize very easily, which is great. And you can even pull the image right down and sort of have a nice flush image from the edge. And you can pull across. And again, you can overlap under text, which is really nice. Okay, and the new Add Block button here, basically what this has done is instead of having to hover over an area and wait for the plus sign, now we just add a block and it will place it basically at the top of the grid, and you then move your block wherever you want it to go. So for things like the old image cards, we are gonna lose out in that sense. So there would probably be a little bit more manual work. So for people who really like to use the collage image blocks or the overlaps, that's gonna sort of be something that you'll manually need to build. So for example, if I wanted some text over this image, if I just hit text and type, for example, a title, and then just drag that across here, this is then where we start to build our sort of collage block. So there's a little bit more manual work there. We can still add a background. Just change that colour there. There you go. So in the first instance, you know, there may be a little bit of work to do here with the collage blocks, but I think we could live with that really, because it is really easy and quick to use the Fluid Engine, and I think it actually gives you more options. You know, rather than using the image block settings, you can actually place text anywhere across the image. You can pull it to the bottom, to the side, within the image. And I know you can do that with some of the image blocks, but it could be a quicker way of doing it. Once you get used to Fluid Engine, this might actually be much more quicker. So hopefully that's the idea behind that. Okay, so I'm just going to remove this for a second. I'm just going to talk a bit more about the overlap, because that is one of my favourite features. So I'm just going to put this back to shape just for the minute. And then what I want to do is I want to add some really nice effects, sort of graphics behind this image. So I'm going to click Add Block. I'm going to click Image. I'm just going to move it here for now, and I'm going to drag in some graphics. Once that loads. Okay, so now I've got this nice sort of triangle shape. Because I've just moved this block over the top of another, it's now giving me the option to move backwards or forwards, depending on which one I'd like. So I'm going to just move it backwards, and I'm going to place it just over here. Bring that down a little bit. I'm going to add another one. So it's a really nice sort of layer building option, and it's really cool for, you know, putting your brand graphics into your design, and it's just easier than, you know, using lots of CSS. Okay, so if I just move this back and overlap, or yeah, overlap just there. In fact, I'll place just then. I'm going to resize this just a little bit bigger, and I'm going to move this one down, so we're starting to get a really nice sort of colour theme and graphic theme going. I'm just going to add another one. More triangles. So I just built these graphics in Adobe Illustrator, but Canva is another really good tool to use. It's really easy, so I've built these graphics just to build up these nice backgrounds. And I quite like that one over the top actually, so I'm going to just drag that over, pull the line down a little bit. There you go, so we can see this nice sort of brand theme starting to come together. And I might just add another couple just in this empty space here. So let's try this colour. Some pre-made triangles. Okay. I'll just place that, I might make that a little bit. It's a little bit too big. I'll pop it there. Okay, so we're getting there. So you can see how easy it is to layer images and to start to bring really nice style to your section. There's so much you can do with the overlay option, and I think it's really easy. So normally when you would sort of build up a section like this, what happens is on a mobile, it tends to all stack, and images and things can be in places you don't want them, and it can be quite a bit of a headache. But the new Fluid engine gives you options to actually use that layout engine on a mobile as well. So if I just quickly show you that, so we hit mobile view at the top, and you'll see when I hover over, we can now actually see the Fluid engine editor. And now you can see what's happened is all those images have actually stacked like they would do on the old version. But what we can now do is drag and drop, overlay, bring images behind, and we can move up and down. Let's move that one behind there. And don't worry about that empty space there, because we can actually also change the width of the grid and the height, sorry. So just bring that down there. This one up a little bit here. Now I think this is an awesome new feature from Squarespace. I think it's really important to get the mobile view as good as you can, really, because so many people use mobile now. It's definitely a must. Okay, so now you can see this little toggle button at the bottom, so we need to get rid of all this empty space, and we can simply just drag, and you'll see the grid appear. We can drag that section up so we've got less space in there. And we can also do it with these buttons here, so we can just bring that up a little bit. And if you really wanted to, you can show all the images above. What's really cool is you can actually select, so if you drag hold, you can select all the images, which is really, really useful. So that's going to save loads of time. In some cases you might want your image section to appear first, so you would just simply move those upwards and then move your text below. So it's really, really versatile. I am loving the mobile editor with Fluid Engine. I think it's awesome. And then when you go back to desktop, everything is exactly as it was, so it doesn't affect the desktop area whatsoever. So that's perfect. So now we can actually have total control over the mobile view, and it won't affect the desktop at all. So that, if I'm honest, is probably my most favourite thing about Fluid Engine so far. Right, so as I mentioned earlier, when you hover over a classic section, you've got the convert button. If you want to actually add a new section, so if I just go down here, click add section, and what's going to happen is all of these presets will be using the new Fluid Engine. Some of them don't fully use it yet, so such as blogs. Some of the list presets don't use Fluid Engine yet. And if you don't really want to fully go deep into Fluid Engine, we have the option of adding a blank page in the classic editor. So you can still design a section in the classic editor if you sort of need a bit more time to get used to Fluid Engine, or you're not too confident with it yet. So that option is still there. I don't know how long Squarespace are going to keep it there. We'll see, but I do think they should keep it there for a while, just to give us a bit of a helping hand to get used to the new Fluid Engine. So yeah, for example, if we were to click on an image layout, let's say this one with the card, there you'll see it's automatically using the new Fluid Engine style. And we can obviously drag, move around, resize, so that's all ready to go. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to add a new page with Fluid Engine. It's pretty much the same as adding a section. I'm just going to hit not linked. So again, we've got blank page, page layouts. All of these settings are still available. So if I hit page layouts, you'll see all of our presets are still here. So let's just choose about. Okay, and then we'll click edit. And as you'll see, again, it's automatically pulled in the Fluid Engine editor. Now, you might have noticed there was no actual option there. So on page layout, there's no option to add a blank classic editor. But if you add blank here, so let's just have a totally blank page. I'm going to hit add section. Then within the section, you can add that blank classic editor there. So just to note, don't worry, you can still add it within the section. Right, so we can use Fluid Engine in the footer as well, which I think is really useful, because sometimes the layouts in footers can be quite tricky when you're trying to get lots of links lined up, you're trying to add spaces in between. It can be a bit annoying. So this is really useful to just drag around your links or your social media icons. We can also pull the line, if you've got a line block, you can pull that right the way across the footer, which I think is really, really good, because I've always got annoyed with that personally. Without using CSS code, I could never sort of get that fully across, so that's really nice. And of course, we can heighten the footer with the toggle there. So if we want to add lots more information, you might want to add a subscribe block here. So let's just see how that looks. Newsletter. There we go, so that's pulled our newsletter. If I just drag that down, and I'll just change the design a little bit. So if I was to pull that across, just make it a little bit smaller, not that small. Okay, and then I'm just going to add something like a cool little graphic here, just to show you how that could look. Let's try this one. It's a little GIF. There we go. So now we can just get more out of our footer, really. I mean, you could do that anyway, but I do think Fluid Engine just makes it a little bit quicker in terms of really having versatility over your design. So as you can see, you can pull that across or move over, overlap. I quite like the way it overlaps the line there. So yeah, so really, really good that we've got the feature in Fluid Engine. I think that's definitely useful. I'm just going to quickly do another section layout. Just hit convert there, just to give you more of an idea of what else we can do. So I'm just going to drag those rows down so I've got a little bit more space. I'm going to add some more of my graphics in here. Let's see, I've had another circle. Just resize. I'm going to bring that back. Okay, just a little bit. Add another block. And I'll go for this nice graphic again. Just there. Can't really see that too much. Bring it over a little bit. Just going to resize this image a bit bigger. Pop it there. Nope, don't like it there. Let's move it to here. Okay, so pull that in a little bit. I'm just going to add a couple of text blocks. So I'm going to reason 1. Let's make that a heading. There we go. That's too big. Okay. I'm just going to put that there for now. So it's nice as well because it's like a little bit of an artboard really. So you just place things, get your content in, and then rearrange as you go along, rather than sort of coming across so many restrictions with the old sort of classic editor. Okay, so I've got like some little numbers here, so I'm just gonna pop them in. See how that looks. There we go. So it's just a bit of content editing. Let's add another number. Pre-designed earlier. So this template I've built is very much based on sort of shapes, like nice sharp lines. So I'm trying to get that feel across. So I'm going to add another text block. I would be happy if we could have some kind of copy and paste option for text blocks. Well, any block for that matter would be very useful. I know you can copy a section, which is good, but it would be nice to just, instead of keep adding a text block, I could just hit a button that copied and paste. That would be really useful. So I just have my numbers here. So I'm just going to drop the space down a little bit. And then we can see we're starting to get a nice layout together. I quite like the fact that we can just, the add block button is there all the time, and we don't have to hover over a certain section anymore. We can simply just add it wherever we like. It's really nice. Reason 2. I don't want pink. Oop. Okay, so you kind of get the idea really on just how versatile it is. Reason 3, 2. Keep highlighting that. Okay, just bring that down there. Just going to resize that a little bit. I really like the resize because it's just saving having to add spaces all over the place. which becomes a little bit annoying really when you know exactly where you want something to go, but you have to add in spaces here, there and everywhere to try and get it to fit right. Can be really annoying. A bit of space between those. There you go, so that's quite a nice sort of little layout, and I've been able to, you know, line these up okay. This particular section could do with the gaps on the grid being a bit tighter, so I'm just going to try that. There you go, that's better. So now I can just move these in a little bit. Resize that a little bit. There you go. And then if we have a look at the mobile, again, you'll see everything is stacked. And it might seem like, oh, now I've got to redesign it all on a mobile, but I actually think it's worth the effort, because it's just going to look so much better, you know, that you can have the option of placing things exactly where you need them to be. I think this is something that, you know, we can all get used to, and I think it's just more of a friendly way of achieving the layout that you really want on a mobile. And there we go, so that's starting to look a little bit more like what I've got on the desktop. And you can pull the text in a little bit so it fits. Obviously there's still a lot of clicking. Oh, I wondered where that went. So this is literally my first play around with Fluid Engine, so you really have to bear with me because I'm learning as well, but I'm just trying to sort of, you know, get used to the new features, and I make mistakes still, so it's all good. That's why that doesn't look right, because it's a word. Okay, so yeah, a bit of clicking, a bit of messing, but worth it now. I mean, you can see we've got this nice sort of branded image area. I've got the text exactly where I want it, and I now don't have to have an image constantly stacked above a piece of text. I can, you know, put things side by side. I can overlap on a mobile, which is great. I'm just going to pull this up again because we don't want that space. There we go. Okay, so hopefully you've got quite a good idea now of what Fluid Engine is capable of. There's one more sort of thing I want to go over, which is image blocks, which I think I mentioned earlier, but I'm just going to quickly show you the difference with Fluid Engine on that. Okay, so now I've placed this section into Fluid Engine. You can see that everything has actually changed for the image block. It's now all separate blocks. So I again need to overlap myself. I need to add a background to this piece of text so that it's like the collage version. So yeah, a little bit of fiddling around there. And it's not quite exactly as, you know, as the blocks are, but you can still manipulate it and place it in a way that suits the type of block that you would have used. So it's still absolutely doable, just a little bit more manual work there. I mean, I suppose the click of a button and just placing a block in is still quite a nice thing to be able to do, but I don't think it's that much of a pain, you know, to do a bit more manual work on that area, especially you know, if we can get these sorts of layouts really nice and easy and quick, you know, that's something I'm willing to sort of suck up, really. So yeah, so that's the difference with image blocks there.
So there's the demo. My initial thoughts are that the new Fluid Engine has some long overdue updates, such as overlapping image blocks and the mobile editor, which is my absolute favourite. So I'm so pleased to see that. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, so feel free to leave a comment. And I really hope you enjoyed the demo. So bye for now.